with older people, sometimes almost immediately they tell you, this has changed my life and this has brought joy back to my life that I never thought I'd find again. Hi, Colin. How's it going?
Not so bad, Declan, not so bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, the sun is shining, so it's always like lifts your spirits, I think, doesn't it, when it's nice weather. For anybody who's watching that doesn't know who we are and
Yeah.
what we're on about, I thought it'd be useful just to give a quick overview as to like who we are, how we met, what the connection is, and what we're doing here with these calls. So I'm Declan.
I'm Colin.
This is Colin. Both similar accents, I think, haven't we? Both from probably about 10 miles away from each other, Rochdale and Oldham.
We are. That's correct.
Yeah. The center of the universe, the north, the northwest.
God's country.
So yeah, so we met at the WM conference. So WM is Waldenstrom's Macroglobulinemia, and it's taken me about a year to learn how to say that.
You've nearly got it right as well.
Was it not right?
You're close.
I'll try again. Waldenstrom's
Macroglobin.
Eh?
Macroglobin.
You put me off. You're just trying to put me off. I am. Macroglobulinemia. That's what I said. Anyway, I'll do for me. Anyway, WM. It's much easier.
Keep it like that. It's simple.
So WM, for anyone who doesn't know, is a lymphoma, which is a type of cancer, a blood cancer. Mine's in the bone marrow. I'm not sure if they're all in the bone marrow or not, but anyway, so it's a lymphoma, and we met at a conference. I didn't know I had it at all 18 months ago, and I felt as fit as a fiddle. And anyway, found out I have it, had chemo and all that kind of stuff, and I'd not met anybody else who had it, and it's quite rare. I think we can talk later about the numbers and things, but I think it's very rare. And so I went along to this conference in London where I met you, and a real godsend, both the conference and also meeting you, because I went from knowing absolutely nothing about this illness to then, well, first of all, knowing, well, other people have got it, and you can actually see people who have it, which changes it from a theoretical, there's some people somewhere in the globe have got it, to, oh, there's real people have it. So it makes you feel slightly less abnormal. So yeah, so that's my take on who we are. What's your take? This strange bloke in the conference walked up to you and starts.
No, as I remember, we were both circulating. I mean, one of the great things about doing a conference like that is that you do circulate, you get to know the people, you get to know their experiences. You also learn little bits about other drugs and any symptoms or problems they may have had that you've got. It's great to chat and learn because you pick up more and more as you go around. That's what both of us were doing at the time. We just bumped into each other through another friend of ours called Bob, and we started to chat. And I think it was a case of, I've got many years experience of trying not to die and you've got less. So it was a case of, might learn a few things from this bloke if I just speak to him a little while longer.
I'm an apprentice, not trying to die. And you're like,
yeah, I've proven that you can stop dying if you wish.
And how long is it that you've had a WM?
Well, it will now be 16 years.
Wow, that's great.
And when I was diagnosed, which is back in the dark ages of 2008, the drugs and the treatments were pretty basic and fairly harsh, which meant that, if you were lucky, you got 3 years and possibly 5. That's what I was told at the time. But the drugs have just massively, massively improved. They've gone from leaps and bounds. That 5-year possible death sentence has got extended and extended. But that's not without problems, because there are issues with the treatments, there are issues with the ongoing cancer. It still plagues you, and the lack of an immune system. But in general, if you're sensible, you stay alive. And I think that's what was kind of like picked up your interest really, is the fact that talking about how to avoid, you know, getting complications and picking up infection and all that type of thing. So I think there was an interest from your perspective as well in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, I knew nothing about anything. And in the early days, it's just trying to get physically better, uh, just well enough to be normal, eat and stuff. And I had other complications, which again, we might talk about later on. But yeah, I found it really, really useful. So just before I've got loads of stuff I want to chat to you about. But again, just for anybody that is watching and they're thinking, okay, so with two blokes from Northern England who both have WM. So, but what's this thing about? So basically, I've learned so much from you and then from the organisations, the WM UK and also the IWMF, the international organisation as well, that we thought, well, like we're chatting, so why don't we just record it and share it so people might find it useful? And I think as well, both of us have found that there are some silver linings amongst all this as well. So again, sharing that because it can seem a bit gloom and doom to some people when they think they're healthy and suddenly they are diagnosed with something like this. And whilst I wouldn't wish it on anybody, like anything, I think there are opportunities to get some silver linings out of a challenging situation. So from my point of view, this is all about sharing information that might uplift people's spirits and they might find it practically useful. So we're absolutely not giving any medical advice or anything, but this is just us sharing what we have found useful. It's not only the WM information, there's a lot of parallels with other cancers and other long-term illnesses. So it's really for anybody who's looking to improve their health and well-being, because we found through my work with the piano stuff, I've got thousands of students aged between 60 and mid 90s, and learning piano for them has had enormous health and well-being benefits. So again, I thought I'd like to share some of that because it's all interconnected. Mental, emotional, physical benefits of music. It is a form of therapy. To join our free community and get lots more information on health, well-being and learning piano later in life, just go to decplay.com/free. So the whole thing for me has joined the cancer side and the music side and just the general life stuff in one umbrella of health and well-being and just sharing some information.
I totally agree with all of that. The thing is, it's like when you're first diagnosed with cancer, there are no great moments where you think, oh, this is life-changing, this has opened the door. I think is you are affected by a level of doom and gloom and potential depression at that point. And I don't think it's until later when you realize that you are going to live and that you see this as a view to another door being opened. Like this is my second life. I've almost died. I've been given the verdict. I've got the big C, which for particular people of my age, which is 67, cancer was always deemed to have been a death sentence. Anyway, you know, you were going to get some chemotherapy that made you feel really bad, and then you died. So that was the way I traditionally viewed cancer. But once you get over that hump, you get the next bit, which is what you're trying to describe now, which links back into how you can help other people with the music, is the fact that you can see there's other things that you should be concerned around rather than what you have been concerned around. And for me, it was, I always worked. I never did anything else but work. It was my main criteria. That became really, it was still important because you need to earn money, I suppose, at the end of the day. And I still had to work to earn a living. But it was less important. What was more important was family, was friends, being close with people, and doing things that you wanted to do rather than things that you thought you should do, which is a way of dealing with things. But a lot of people see it a different way, and they see it as, literally, this is an opportunity. I've got X number of years now to live. I'm going to die at some point. It's that knowledge that I will die. I've had a close shave here and I will die. So I've got to move on and do all the things that I want to do. Now, that could be a bucket list, But as you've discovered, one of those bucket list items is learning to play a musical instrument, tapping the piano. And I mean, in a percentage of people that you would normally come across who want to learn the piano, how often do you think it is that people have got to that point where they've had an illness or something has shook them to that degree?
It seems to be a pretty high percentage. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but out of the thousands of students we have, I must have had several hundred people have proactively told me that the reason they took up piano was because they had a illness. There's not many people actually tell me the reason proactively, and of the ones who do, I would say more than half have said that was the reason. So it's hard to know. I mean, there's many stories of people who have cancer. Claudine is one example that comes to mind, and she promised herself during the treatment that when she got through it, this was something to look forward to during the treatment. So that really helped her, she said, having something to look forward to. But it was a lifelong dream. So, yeah, for many reasons, she said that was something to look forward to. There's Alex, who I think he was given 6 months to live. And he had a few different issues as well as the heart side, but he had a stroke as well, lost the use, almost all the use of his left hand. Alex, you know, is wonderful, you know, saying he also had a depression, anxiety. He had a lot of things going on, a lot of challenges. And he said the piano has absolutely transformed all of those things to make them much better. It's not obviously a cure for these things, but it's massively helped him in all those areas, including getting back most of the use of his left hand, which he'd lost. So physically as well as emotionally, mentally. So the stories are really uplifting. Only last week, on the same day, there's two different people said they haven't long left to live. So one guy said that so he's learning piano now because he's promised himself before he goes he wants to play a song on piano. So yeah, it seems to be really a common thing.
When I remember when I got ill, I got quite down. I was quite low, probably depressed in many ways. And that really does drag you down. I don't think being positive cures you of anything, but I'm quite certain that being depressed and down about stuff drags you down quite heavily. And keeping a positive attitude, having something to do, to live for, something that you want to move on to, something that you've never done in your life, your bucket list, whatever, is one of those things that can lift you out of that type of doom and gloom that you're in, particularly during the treatment stage. And I think these things are necessary, but they're not really that well discussed. Or I'm quite sure most doctors are aware that you need to be made happy, but their job is just to treat your cancer, not to treat your mental health. And I think that's one area that is difficult. And something like with DecPlay, it will definitely help certain people. For me, it was really making sure that I kept my family close and did more things that I should have done with family and friends rather than work too much. I never really had a bucket list of things I wanted to do anyway. It was more a case of just enjoy what you're doing when you're doing it, which is primarily what we should all do, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's an opportunity, isn't it, when you're ill to reflect and maybe reprioritize.
Yes.
I know for me, what's funny in a way that it's funny in that it's not funny, but I was diagnosed with cancer. The following day, then they did a biopsy, bone marrow biopsy. So I was due home the following day after that. Then I would start the chemotherapy treatment as an outpatient. But the biopsy went wrong. It punctured an artery. I was bleeding for 15 hours before they knew. And basically everything shut down. My heart, lungs, kidneys, everything. So they had to bring me back to life. So that's a separate story when I was like right on the edge and feeling what it's like to somebody shouting, "Stay with us," kind of thing, after they got my heart going for the first time. And then feeling that how peaceful it was to sort of go and how difficult it was to stay. All of this is going on, and then I wake up in ICU, and then I've got many days of an operation every day and not knowing whether I'd make it through, and then on a ventilator, so everything had shut down, so I couldn't breathe on my own. So when you're in that kind of that state, I literally forgot I had cancer.
No surprise there, really. There's about 7 or 8 near-death situations that you've all put into one bag there, really. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
Like the second time they started in my heart, you know.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That sounds pretty serious.
But what's mad is like that awareness of I didn't know at the time because it's like a dream kind of thing. But I heard the person.
A nightmare, I think, would be more appropriate than dream.
Well, you see, it was quite peaceful, but it wasn't like I was in a car accident lying at the side of the road with my body in bits in the same situation. So I wasn't in pain as such. It's just that I was bleeding out.
Yeah.
Well, I was bleeding internally, and then
Bleeding out internally, yeah.
yeah. So the blood was going out of my circulation system, but then the pressure of it building up was then causing all the organs to. Both of those two problems combined meant my body shut down. But it was a peaceful. But then the ICU bit and all the operations trying to fix the damage done, and then basically trying to get my body from everything has shut down. So I'm being kept alive by machines to then try to get each bit of my body reworking again was the difficult bit. But in that, because literally just trying to breathe took so long and it was so difficult, and then just trying to get off the ventilator, and I couldn't breathe enough, my lungs just couldn't move enough, so they had to put it back in again. So those kind of things like that, that's for a long time I was focused just on things like breathing. I was more or less paralyzed, so I couldn't really move anything apart from I could move my hand a little bit after a few days like that, but I didn't know if I'd ever walk again, all this kind of stuff. So literally I forgot I had cancer, and it was like, it was quite funny that quite a while later I woke up one morning and oh yeah, I've got cancer, and it was such a non-issue.
That's why I came in here.
Compared to where I'd been at. And I think it's all relative, isn't it? So it's like prior to that, only a few weeks earlier, I was climbing big hills in Iceland, walking for miles, and I felt as fit as I'd ever been. So it's all relative that then going from super fit to then suddenly being kept alive by these machines to getting out of ICU and slowly getting my body to do the basic things again. I couldn't eat properly for a very long time. All of that is relative, and so I now appreciate every day, every set of stairs I walk up, just breathing, the fact of my legs work, the fact of I can walk, the fact of I can eat, the fact I'm back to a normal weight again because I was like a skeleton after months of not eating. Sometimes if you're going relatively from healthy to then having cancer, that might seem like it's absolutely terrible. But because I've been in that other place, where I'm at right now is absolutely I'm so privileged to be where I'm at that I find that that's probably helped me mentally accept it, because I really truly feel I'm so fortunate to be where I'm at. But I suppose it's just perspective, isn't it? It's just.
It is perspective, and the thing is, you'll appreciate breathing more than most because you were intubated, and obviously having something else was breathing for you. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough spot, and a lot of people who went through COVID had that exact same problem as well. But the other thing is, how have you found it in the sense that, in terms of accepting death, do you think that's
that's interesting, because I was saying, like, who's that person that was shouting, "Stay with us, don't close your eyes, stay with us"? Now, at the time, I couldn't see anything. I was blind. I think the blood had drained from my eyes, so I couldn't see. But I do remember trying to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
So difficult because I was so weak. It was so difficult. And I assumed that was in surgery and stuff. It turns out, when I found out later, it was the nurse on the ward initially who found me when my heart stopped. I didn't have a pulse or any blood pressure. So they were doing the compressions to bring me back. So that was the original. And then the crash team came, and then I think they had to do it again on the way to ICU. So that period there I remember that moment, and then, all right, so that's probably the cusp between life and death. And so now that was very peaceful. So I don't fear death at all. If that's what death is. Now, obviously, I don't want to choose it earlier than it's going to happen, but I don't fear it at all. And so that's had a profound difference on how I view life. Because before, I took it for granted. I'd always been incredibly healthy.
And you're going to live forever.
Yeah, well, it's just, of course, I'm fit and healthy. My parents are in their 90s and they're healthy, so I'm going to be at least in my 90s. That was just taken for granted. Whereas now, of course, realizing I've got this underlying cancer anyway that might have complications, and so it's probably highly likely that I'm not going to outlive my parents. But it doesn't matter now. Actually, I've switched my thinking to, well, I'm aware of how fragile life is, and it could happen to anybody in a car accident any minute, or a brain hemorrhage or whatever could happen to anybody. But now I'm aware that life is fragile, but I'm aware as well how so many things that now are working again that weren't working, I took them for granted. So now I don't take it for granted. My arms, I can move my arms, I can speak, I can walk, I can breathe, I can eat, I can look at grass, because in ICU there was no windows or anything. And oh man, just to see grass, it was like, oh, it lifted my spirit so much. When I was looking forward to this for like weeks and weeks and weeks, when I can just get to a room with a window and I'll be able to look out of a window. So I think it really has transformed my view of life and my appreciation for life. And I don't have a fear of death. So yes. I think I'm living now not bound by as many shackles as I would have subconsciously. Well, I can't do that because that's not sensible, or I can't do that because I need to save up for retirement. And you still have to live within some kind of sensibilities. Hopefully I'm going to live for quite a few years, but I'm not going to do without something because I'm going to save that for a rainy day. If I want something, if I want an experience of something, then I'm going to experience it, because I don't know whether I'll be able to do that at a future point in time. In some ways, it's been a gift, which is a really odd thing to say, and I absolutely would have preferred it didn't happen, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. However, there is a gift to be taken from the not nice experience, which I think is a massive appreciation for the things I always had, but didn't appreciate them as much. So now I'm focused on the quality of life, not the longevity of life.
For me, it was different. It was mainly down to family. Probably you can hear quite a lot of the family in the background and babies and things at the moment, because the house is just buzzing with life. But it is, for a lot of people, it's also, going back to what we said before, it's about completing certain things and bucket lists and stuff like that. But I remember you talking about the fact that while you were considering the circumstances and situation you had, is that you actually thought in terms of the business that you're running as well, and about, objectives and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, well, when I was in ICU then, and they were wheeling me out every day for another operation, making it very clear you've got to sort out whatever you need to sort out because you might well not make it. They're about to wheel you out for the next operation in a few minutes. Then I was thinking, okay, if I make it out of here, and I always think, I've always been quite a positive thinker, so I tend to accept that I don't control it, and if I'm going to go, and so I made my peace. I said my last things, and I was at peace with going. I was more thinking of the upset for my family and partner and stuff, but I was okay with going because I've had such an incredible life. But I thought, but if I make it, then what am I going to do? What do I want to do? And it absolutely wasn't, I want more money in the bank. It absolutely wasn't, I want thousands more students than we've got. It was nothing to do with any of that. And it's not a bigger house and it's not more cars. It was sharing knowledge. It was like, because the thousands of students we have at the moment are on the beginner's course. So that's the one which is transforming people that can't play through to playing like incredibly quickly, often in the same day, within hours. Sometimes they can play the first song. So that really is transforming lives. But
that's pretty good coin.
Yeah, but I'm really proud of that, and it's transformed thousands of lives, especially people aged 60 to 95. But this came from how I play by ear. So there was 3 stages of it. So how I can instantly hear a tune and play it. Mm-hmm. I realised if I can scan a tune in a second or two and know how to play it on piano, it can't be as difficult as all the classical dots and stuff that take ages to learn, and there's thousands of dots, you know. So I realized that there is a simple pattern going on. I de-engineered how I do that in my head, and that became this new way of teaching piano, which has been awarded the patent and gets all these very quick results that most people think are literally impossible. Okay, but the other two bits, which are the professional way of playing, which is only a few extra little steps, and then the actual playing by ear, about how to teach other people how they can hear a tune and instantly know how to play it. Those extra two bits are only a few steps further down the line, because the beginner's course came from there. But I'd never explained to anybody what those steps are. And I thought, oh, I can't die now. I've not explained it. Oh, and I was going, like, this is going to get lost to the world. And like,
Yeah, it's lost in my dead grey matter.
Yeah, I'm going like, oh no. So that, I realised that was my biggest regret, is I'd spent time doing other stuff and doing this and doing videos and marketing and messing around and buying more classic cars and doing all this stuff, and never got this crucial information out of my head. And there's nobody on the planet that knows this sequence of stuff. So that was it. If I get out here, that's what I'm going to do. So it was so clear, and that's really helped me focus ever since, and also focus on the whole purpose of DecPlay is this transforming lives through music. And I'm proud to say, as soon as I got physically able to do that, I got this core information out of my head and launched the Pro Play, I call it, which is the professional way of playing. So now if I pop my clogs now, the key information is there.
It's that point that we were talking about before. It's the fact that you have this near death or very close to death experience, which really does laser focus the way you look at things in many respects, and makes you appreciate what is important and what you would actually like to do rather than what you are actually doing. I do unfortunately think, though, we also tend, if we're not careful, we tend to go back to what we've always done. It's very easy, I think, to slip into that same mindset of it's comfortable to do what you've always done. So what you were doing when you were lying in bed was that what you were saying to yourself is that I've got a limited time. I need to get on with this and do it. And otherwise, you would have just carried on doing what you would have always done. And that, for a lot of people, even when they recover, they fall back to that because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
So you did well.
Yeah. It's the balance, isn't it? Because it is an interesting one, because, like I say, now I was so clear, like, and I had a lot of time to think about this, because there were several days where I was in this critical period.
And you didn't even have to breathe because something else was breathing for you.
Done for. Well, I'll tell you, some of the mind games my brain was playing. I'll tell you someday. It's crazy. I was on obviously a lot of powerful drugs as well at the time, but man, what was going on in my head to, as it turns out, to help me like physically do stuff just to stay alive. It was like crazy how your body's so clever, and it was coming up with these things that were sort of like now I understand it was like a hallucination or a dream or something. But at the time,
it's a trick. It's a brain trick, isn't it?
Real. Yeah. But it was making my body do certain things, like the breathing bit. There was a spot game, and so I had to, every time I breathed more, it would go higher. I realised later, when they took me off the ventilator the first time, I was still on the oxygen mask. I had to get a certain amount of oxygen in me, and it was so incredibly difficult. Every single breath, I was doing my best, but my lungs were hardly moving, and the oxygen just wasn't getting in enough. But they were saying, no, if you don't do better, we're going to have to put the tube back in. In my head, there was this game, and there was a dot on the ceiling, and I had to get the dot higher, and then it pings if I hit in the target. And I was explaining this to this person beside me, explaining them how this game works. Of course, there was no person beside me. There was no game. There was no dot.
No.
But that was obviously, now I realise, my brain had come up with this thing of how I could keep pushing, because I had to start using my lungs, or else I wouldn't ever get off the machine. It's very clever the way the body like understands what you need to do.
There might have also been some very strong drugs that were helping you as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some bizarre things. But I think it's yeah, it is interesting. That was my focus. I had a lot of time to think about it because I wasn't sleeping much at all. So I had many hours every day just to think about, if I get out here, what am I going to do? So yours was a family.
Yeah, having your family close. And they were all close in many respects, but it was an appreciation of that. And the fact that it's actually absorbing it all. And the fact that they're with you, but taking the moments to actually absorb all those things, you know, the grandkids and all the rest of it. It is, you know, something we just take for granted, and it shouldn't be. Going back to your breathing again, we take breathing absolutely 100% for granted, but should we? It's that type of thing. I suppose if we really thought too much about breathing, it would be a bit of a labour. I think there's so much in life that we just don't really absorb as much as we should do from it. And that goes back to what other people do, whether it's travel the world or go and see an elephant or whatever. Everyone's got a bucket list of items in that respect that they may wish to do. Mine was just be close to family. Yours in this particular case was to get the information out of your head so that people could do better in literally learning music, musical instrument, playing the piano, and moving on from there, which is great, which you have done, which is pretty superb, really. But that's strangely what you're talking about there, in the sense that you wanted to do this, you were be it the cancer, be it the loss of blood and all the rest of it had taken place. You wanted to pass that information on as part of your curative action. But other people, from what you were just saying earlier on, actually do the course for the same reasons, which is they want to learn a musical instrument. They've always wanted to learn. They had some lessons when they were 6 and really just couldn't hack it, but have always had a desire to learn music. You know, those people who've always had a piano in the house and never played it, that type of thing.
Yeah, there's loads
It's
of
those people that you're reaching out to, that is quite likely one of the bucket list items. And what you've done inadvertently is open up that window for them as such.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people have that kind of story, that piano has been a lifelong dream that they wanted to do. Or there's some people, like there's Steve in California. He joined the course because his grandfather played piano and his parents never. So there was nobody then in the family learned after the grandfather. He passed away, so nobody played piano. But he remembered what that felt like to see granddad playing piano. And then he wanted that for his granddaughters. He wanted to give them a legacy of music in the family, to pass on that feeling that he had. So when he retired, he said, you know what, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to be the granddad that plays piano. And so he learned, so within a few days or whatever, he's playing a song on piano. And then his grandkids were round, his granddaughters were around. And then, of course, you know, kids are curious. What's that, granddad? Oh, it's piano, I'm doing this. And it was Silent Night he was learning at the time. And because the method is so incredibly simple, it avoids all the classical dots and stuff. It's just a numbers method and a patterns method, which a child of 4 can learn, as well as people in the 90s. So basically he said, well, just try it. They just tried the right hand, and they can play, just follow the numbers 1 to 7, and they can play the thing. So his granddaughters start playing this thing. Then his daughter, so their mum, said, what's going on there? And the granddaughter's playing. So she had a go. So suddenly now, 3 generations of the family are playing piano. And this within days of joining the course. So he achieved his dream of that. And of course, then he's gone on to, you know, play much, much more. But that thing about, I think, music has a way of actually making powerful emotions and connecting with people. Like his memory from decades earlier was so strong, it encouraged him to take action to make those memories for his grandkids. There's many people have got that kind of story. There's a lady who said that her mother used to play piano and she passed away and the piano was there. And so she said, I'm doing it for my mum. I'm learning because I tried as a child and I couldn't do it and I gave up and I was told I'm not musical. But you know what? I'm gonna really make an effort in memory of my mum. And of course, they joined the course. They went, "Oh, this is easy." And they started playing piano. And they're saying every time they play piano now, they're thinking of the mum. What a lovely thought that the mother's looking down at their child, that's now an adult, playing on their piano. There's many stories about people whose partners have passed, and again, they're playing piano for their partner. It's really powerful. It's way, way more than just, oh, I want to play a tune because I like a tune. Okay, that's fine. But for most people, it's much, much deeper than that. And that's the emotional side. Of course, there's all the physical benefit, the mental training, keeping your mind alert. Dementia as well is one. I do voluntary work and play in hospitals and old folks' homes and these type of places. And there was a lady, like most people like music, and especially if it's not commonly done. So I went to this nursing home, and normally people will, oh, there's some music, great, will come out. So the people are wheeled out and they sit around, and I just asked them what, because I can play by ear, so I just said, what tune do you want? And if I've ever heard it, I can play it. So this lady said this tune, so I'm playing this Irish tune, and she's singing along. Great. And then there for an hour or so, and then they go back to the rooms and things. And then I came a month later, and the lady's there, and she's singing, and all normal, like, oh, lovely. And I was speaking to the staff member that had organised this music, and I go, oh, this is lovely, isn't it? They're all singing away. And he said, yeah, that lady there that was singing. Yeah, the one that was singing last time. Yeah. You know, last time when she was singing, she had been in her bed for months and was non-verbal. I'm going, what, the lady that was singing? Like, yeah, she had not spoken. She was non-verbal. Her brain had kind of shut down. But there's something about the music brought her back. That was a song that she knew from her childhood. It reactivated some area of her brain, and she could sing all the words to the tune, and she was smiling and singing.
Remarkable, isn't it?
He said in that month gap, she went back into her room and she stayed in bed. She wouldn't get out of the room, and she was non-verbal again until you came back and played again. And that is literally, I found that hard to believe. The person in front of me I wouldn't have known that there was any problem at all mentally. It's so powerful, not only the emotional side and the memories for family, and of course playing for other people is great fun for you playing, but it's great fun for the people listening. There's the social side of it, the emotional side, the confidence bit. About many people say, probably confidence is the most common thing that they say, that they'd wanted to play all their childhood. They'd maybe tried, told that they weren't musical. Now to find that actually they can start playing incredibly quickly. It's just that the method that they were taught was not appropriate for their learning type or the type of music they wanted to play. So they are musical. They can play incredibly quickly. They're thinking, what else could I do? What else have I told myself I couldn't do, can I do? Yeah. So it just boosts confidence across all areas.
Talking of confidence, though, that's another point, going back to illness and being the circumstances that both me and you have been through. One thing that, again, it's in a way gives you confidence because you don't really care that much about what other people think anymore. In the way that you would have done at one time, you would have been more concerned about what other people would say or what other people would do. After you've had that near-death sort of situation, what does it matter? Exactly. It really doesn't matter. And so, in a way, it gives you a type of confidence in the way that I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to play the violin or I'm going to play the piano. And I don't really care if nobody is that thrilled with it because I know it doesn't really matter. Their opinions don't matter. It's what I want to do. And it is a type of confidence that you're given through being ill or having something that was almost taken away from you, which is your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can be a gift from that point of view, that it can help you realize what really is important. And there's what's great, there's Dee. Dee is 95. I think she might be 96 actually right now. But Dee is a superstar, and her partner died quite a few years ago. And she said that learning piano again has lifted her out of this dark place. What she does now, she plays piano, especially for birthdays and things, for family members. So she
cute.
will video it. She sends a video to the family member, but they've been passing it to their people at work. Say, hey, look at my granny. Here's my granny playing piano. And she joined the DecPlay course on whatever, a year ago or whatever. And they pass it round. So like, she gets all this feedback from people that she doesn't even know now. She's getting like semi-famous in these little workplaces where her family work and stuff. And I think how wonderful, she's spreading this joy of music beyond herself. But for her now, it's amazing on all these levels, the emotional, the physical, the mental. It's such a wonderful gift. And that's why I think I found music for me was a massive thing in my life, because I used to be incredibly shy as a kid. I had a stammer, really bad stammer, and I had a lot of spots, and I wasn't sporty. And so really music was the one thing I could build a bit of confidence around. It's like anything, once you get some solid ground, you can start to build something. Whereas if you don't have any confidence about anything, it's harder to try to move forward. But you just need something. You just need to plant a flag somewhere. I can do this maybe better than most people, or as well as other people. And then from that, you can start to build your confidence.
Build goes from strength to strength from that point. And it's going back to your comment, about it is a silver lining as such, that you can be ill, but you can rebuild yourself, and you can move on, and you can try all these things that you've never tried, which is absolutely incredible. And you're a great testament to that in what you've done as well, in terms of how you've created, from being lying in bed there thinking, I haven't passed all this knowledge on about how people can so easily learn to play music by ear or from the sheets or whatever. That spurred you on to do that, which is bizarre, really, from a point of death to get to actually giving you that opportunity to do something else. No, not opportunity. You had the opportunity before, but you didn't have the spur to do it.
It was the focus, I think, because I let a load of other distractions get in the way.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now, like when you're faced with that I literally might not make it, they're going to wheel me through them doors, and I might not come back. And I think that clarity of, okay, so I've said my goodbyes, and if I get back through them doors, if I get a second chance, what am I going to do with that second chance? And then it becomes clear, this clarity. There's lots of things I'd enjoy, but if I only get a very short amount of time left to live, is that what I want to do? And I realised for me, my fulfilment comes from helping transform other people's lives. That's what I've sort of realised. So I love playing gigs and stuff. I played with my hero of all time, musical hero. I played on his last night of the Irish tour.
Who's this?
He's a guy, Glenn Hansard is called. He won an Oscar actually for Falling Slowly is a song from the film called Once. I've always liked his music, his passion. So I ended up playing with him on his last night of his Irish tour to a sold out crowd, because his keyboard player got COVID. Just because literally I had a couple of hours beforehand time just to get some of the chords and stuff, and then I played by ear, so I played the entire set, songs I've never heard before, even just literally playing it by ear. But that kind of stuff is brilliant. I love playing to a crowd, is a massive buzz. However, I've realised, as much as a buzz that is, empowering other people, like these stories, when I get stories for Steve about his granddaughters are playing and his daughters had a go. They might never want to be full-time pianists, but his family have music. There's a great story, Mike had a go at 79. He said, I tried it as a kid, but I couldn't do it, the usual. I tried it, but the dots were just too confusing. So anyway, so he tried it, he had a go, and very, very quickly he's playing tunes. That's great. Within a few days or whatever. And then within a few weeks, he starts using the knowledge that I've shown, these simple patterns that underlie all music. Then he starts to write his own songs, because it becomes very easy to write songs when you understand these patterns. So he's writing his own songs. Brilliant. So proud of him. Fantastic. Then they get a family get together and he writes a song for the family. Quite a humorous thing about all the grandkids and nieces and nephews and all this kind of stuff. And he sings the song. So he's playing piano, singing the song he wrote about the family to the family. This is a guy who started playing at 79. That for me is so fulfilling to see that. And now all the nieces, nephews, grandkids that are seeing granddad do this is their norm now. Their norm is our family has music in it, you know.
Yeah.
So it opens up all these different possibilities, and just the connection and the joy and the fulfillment for everybody, not just the person playing, but the person listening. So that to me is way more fulfilling than any stuff I've done about me writing songs or me getting on TV or radio or playing to a crowd. Is lovely, but I found this is way more fulfilling.
I think if you're improving someone's health and well-being, that is major. For anyone who's got any form of empathy, passion, consideration for others, something like that, yeah, I can really genuinely see improving someone's musical skills, but more importantly, their health and well-being, because it's the way they think about themselves and the way they project themselves as well. That's so important. That really is. It's tremendous.
Yeah. Maybe it's about legacy.
Maybe from Grandad's point of view, there may be some consideration towards legacy. But I think, again, if I'm thinking the way I would think about my kids and grandkids, if I can just give them some kind of pleasure, some kind of like amusement even, you know, or some positive feelings, then no, I'd see that as the main reason why I was doing it rather than anything else. It is a type of legacy, I suppose. It always is with children. But no, I think it's the fact that you, again, going back to what I said about earlier, about my connections are always family. You know, how important the family is and making sure the family's safe and looked after and you do the best for them. And that will be my take from that, certainly.
Yeah. I think I'm just so lucky to have found these older age group as well that really, I found that teaching is more fulfilling for me at the moment. You know, this might change in the future, but at the moment, the older age group, I find it's more transformational. So I've taught a lot of kids as well, which I love kids, especially young kids that think, the energy and the joy is wonderful. However, there's so many possibilities like are open to them. Yeah, I can kick a football. I can go and play this. I can go and do video games. I can do. Yeah. I can go and play acting and go and chase the ball or whatever. And they're all lovely. So piano fits in with it. Yeah, it's fun. It's great. It's lovely. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's life-changing. Apart from maybe somebody like me that had incredible shyness and stuff, perhaps if it brings you out of that and then makes you thrive in all areas of your life, then maybe you could say that. But with older people, sometimes almost immediately they tell you, this has changed my life and this has brought joy back to my life after my partner died that I never thought I'd find again. So that is immediate, like overwhelming fulfillment for me because of the transformational effect it has. I think probably the biggest thing that I didn't foresee this happening. I just put the method out to everybody, but it was because the feedback that was coming back was so fulfilling from the older age group that then I started to actually design a course for the over 50s. I mean, but most students are over 60 actually, so 60 to 90, 96, I think. So it's ended up being that this is now where my main focus is at the moment. So later on, I'll do versions of it for the low sight, because it works very well with people with low sight and kids in primary school and different things later. But one thing I didn't really foresee was the community side of things. So we now have thousands of students who are, as well as learning piano on their own, in their own home, they are availing of the opportunity to communicate with other students online. So we have a DecPlay club, we call it. So they can communicate with other students, share videos, message and comment. People can apply to join a buddy scheme where we will put them in touch with one or more other students on the same journey. They can choose whether they want them in the same geographical area, and quite a few of them now are meeting up. So you might get 5 or 6 people meeting up at somebody's house to have a piano party. And they've said again, the socialness now of that, and whether it's kept just online, it's a bit like having a pen pal, but having somebody on the same journey has brought so much joy to other people. I didn't expect that. This has made it clearer to me, both my own recovery as well, and how I found playing my new baby grand piano that I treated myself to after I got out of hospital. Physically playing that piano and the amount of creativity I found through that, and the amount of music I've written and things, really helped my recovery. I think it helped take my focus off the ailments and the pain in my body. It took me to a different place. But I also think the resonance, especially of an acoustic piano, like a grand piano, the resonance of the strings for me, I feel different playing that. And I like to think it's like a massage of your body because its frequencies going through the air. I can't explain it, but people love music. And for me, it moves me and it makes me feel good. The whole thing for me and the community and the music thing, it's a gift I've got to be able to share with other people. And I think for as much time as I've got left, that is all I want to do now, is share this.
It's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, it's like how a serious situation that you encountered has actually helped you with your priorities in terms of, your wish and desire to share more knowledge, and therefore it's inadvertently created more business, but also opened up something that you never anticipated, which is a community of people sharing information and knowledge with each other, and their passions and their joy to actually do music together. Totally and absolutely unexpectedly. And all from what was a near-death experience where, that you've been left with a different appreciation that just breathing is pretty good, actually. Or looking out the window. Actually looking at grass was the main thing that made you really concentrate on what you wanted to do and move on and reassess all your priorities for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, quite remarkable, really.
It's funny, yeah, sometimes the worst times can bring some benefit. Again, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. However, I really do think now I've got a much better appreciation of life and a much clearer focus on how I can help others and induce so feel more fulfilled myself. So it's a totally win-win thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm picking more up, rather than just the music side of it, from the way you're talking, it is about how it improves people's health and well-being generally. That's what I keep coming back to. And the fact that you were talking about relieving the symptoms of dementia, and also for people who in the 70s and 80s, how they're getting more mental agility, but also physical agility, in the sense that it reduces the level of discomfort they've got. It's almost like a type of physiotherapy, playing the piano, isn't it? Where you mentioned before, I think it was Mike, you said about he wasn't able to use one of his arms, and by playing the piano, that ability started to come back. So
Alex, Alex had lost.
Alex, sorry, apologies.
The use of his left arm and his hand, and that came back. Over months. It was a gradual thing. But there's people like Pam who had arthritis, so she questioned whether she could even learn to play piano because she had arthritis. Whereas there's so many students now like Pam that we found that not only is it, yes, you can play piano if you have arthritis, but it actually helps relieve the symptoms of arthritis if you play piano. Of course, there's probably people who are so extreme. I don't know if this applies to everybody, but I know there's many students who have benefited by playing piano because their arthritis symptoms are much more reduced. And Pam, again, over a few months, she found not only did the dexterity improve in her hand, but she could come off all of the medication because the pain had really gone down in her hand. So she could stop all the medication and she doesn't need it anymore now. And I've spoken to a physiotherapist and they say that this type of movement of playing piano is what they would try to get people to do similar movements, but they can only use things like the squeezy balls and the things. So they try to get people to do it. But of course, 3 minutes of a squeezy ball feels like hours and you get bored. And so whatever, if the physio says do 15 minutes of that 3 times a day, most people won't because it's boring. Whereas playing piano, 15 minutes, you could. I mean, some people they start doing 15 minutes and 2 hours later, they're like, time has flown and they're still playing because it's fun. So if you see something as fun, then you can do it, no problem. So it is great.
Well, there is one other thing to that as well, just jumping in there, is that physiotherapy does tend to create pain. And one of the reasons, it's not just boredom, but squeezing that ball after a period of time, you will get discomfort. You will get pain. And, and with physiotherapy, you're supposed to go through that. And that's why, you often have somebody there to help you and push you on. Whereas playing music will have a different effect because it will be a distraction from that pain and discomfort. So you're doing something, but you're going to be distracted at the same time. Yeah. So you tend to ignore the pain and you overcome those issues. And as you say, you're making it fun, so you carry it on, don't you?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because your brain generally can only focus on one thing at a time, and it generally can't handle good and bad in the same moment, usually. So I've seen NLP kind of stuff, which they can sometimes try to treat issues by doing that, by introducing this negative issue here. You introduce something that they absolutely love at the same time, and the brain can't be both, I'm in pain, and also, this is great fun. It can't do that, so it has to choose one of them. So if you're focused on the fun, you can't notice the pain in that instant because you're focused on the fun.
And therefore, it is a physiotherapy. It'll improve all your fine motor skills and start to overcome the problem that you have with your movement, which is tremendous. I don't suppose it's going to make arthritis go away, because if you've got arthritis, you've got arthritis. So, but what you're doing is finding a method to actually deal with it. But going back to what we just saying there, that it's not just because you're doing it, it's also going to change something else. It's going to change you emotionally, isn't it? It's going to lift your mood.
Yeah. Yeah, there are studies that I've read. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I've read various studies that show that playing piano, I think, is the top of the tree of the activities that activate all areas of the brain at the same time. So, because on the motor skills, you've got both hands, which are doing separate things at the same time. You are reading the instructions, so your eyes are working on that. Your brain is interpreting the instructions, so your brain's working on that. Mm-hmm. You are listening to whether you play a wrong note or not. So you've got the auditory, you've got the visual, you've got both hands, and your brain is working out the instructions and applying it. So you've got all of these things all going on at the same time. And on top of that, you've got this other level of fun, because people love music, especially if you're playing a song that you love.
Yeah.
If you are feeling progress in playing this song that you love, you've got this, like you say, lifting spirits. You've got the fun of the song. Oh, I'm getting closer to playing this song that I love, as well as working all these things at the same time. I sort of view it as, it's like the most powerful drug that's natural and has got no side effects apart from happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, taking happy pills is one way to overcome a problem, but I suppose if you can lift your mood by playing music, it's got to be the best, because it will, in just the same way, it will reduce stress. It will remove anxiety and therefore take away depression, which is the thing that curses most people particularly if you've been ill for a period of time, that level of like that black dog that descends upon you is terrible. And something like this could really genuinely help. But just touching back to what you were saying before, the fact that you inadvertently created a peer group of people who can get together, who communicate, who harmonize, who share their experiences, and in certain instances, because they live locally to each other, physically get together, you've created a community, a social connection. That, in a way, probably reduces loneliness as well, which is another great thing.
Yes, yeah, that's the feedback we've had for a lot of people, as well as the confidence thing that we touched upon earlier.
Yeah.
Loneliness is one of the big things that they've said it's massively helped because you've got people of like-minded on the same journey, so everybody is learning. And I'm learning piano. It's one of those things that you never stop learning, which is a wonderful thing. That there's always more to learn. There's always more songs. There's always more playing ability. So it's a thing that you never get bored with. If you like growth, you never get bored with it.
But it's not just growth, it's also fun. Because people are sharing their experiences in that respect and playing music to each other. It will generally be fun. Yeah. But inadvertently, they're also providing support for each other as well.
Yeah.
Through that common connection, which is the music.
Quite a lot of the students in the 70s, 80s, 90s have lost a partner. So whilst they do have family often, what quite a few students have said is it's fine, they've got family, but often their kids are minding their own children. So they're busy, they'll have jobs and they're busy. So there's times where our students say that it's lovely that they've got this other community of people of a similar age in the same journey that, like you say, they can share music with, it's fun, and they feel they've got this connection and they're not putting upon anybody because they're helping the other people. Everyone's helping everybody. So yeah, so I think it does really help with loneliness as well, which we said of, depression, anxiety. A lot of students have said it's helped massively lift their spirits. That's an area that I didn't envisage that really being as powerful as it's turned out to be.
I don't suppose it was ever part of your formula for teaching music. It's something that's come about because of the format by which you do the teaching the music, which is online, and it enables a community to develop from that respect. Because, like you were saying before, you had somebody in California. It becomes relevant where your location is, and a lot of the people will be of a like mind about what they want to do and have an understanding of each other. That's got to be great for creating a community of people that never existed before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're in actually 72 countries now, but it is mainly UK, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. The English-speaking countries mainly. I'm really, really, really privileged to be able to be working in this area. There's loads of stuff that I think I'd like to share in future calls. We'll pick a topic, and because there's loads of things that I was asking you again in the early days that it's been a great help to me, so I'd like to delve into some of those maybe in our future calls. I think you're right that I realise it's not about teaching piano full stop, and it definitely is not about like passing an exam to teach piano of this level or that level or this level. Not interested in levels. I'm interested in how people can enhance their life and health and well-being. It just so happens that the vehicle by which I can help people do that is piano. Other people might be medicine, or it might be psychotherapy, or it could be physical activities. There's lots of people, I think, improve lives through lots of different ways. My vehicle just happens to be piano. So I'm really excited for us to be able to chat and just waffle.
Waffle. I like the word waffle. It's good.
Yeah. I just really enjoyed chatting to you, and that's why I thought it'd be good to share these. Thanks for that, Colin. It's really enjoyed our chat, as always.
Thank you. No, it was good. Enjoyed it.
I shall see you on the next call.
All right. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, then. Bye-bye.
To join our free community and get lots more information on health, well-being and learning piano later in life, just go to decplay.com/free.